On this episode, I talked to a cool dad of one of the coolest jobs. His name is Austin, and he gets to make a living watching sports. Kinda. Without all the fancy terminology, Austin does video work for the Las Vegas Raiders, the Golden Knights, and most UFC events you see. He helps people like me find the puck, get all up in there for the UFC, and then those Madden-style replays that you slow rewind to rub in your friends' faces. But with even such a cool job, his priorities lie in being a good husband, dad, and brother. So I asked Norm, my friend, his brother, to sit in and do what I like to call mixtape therapy. We also talk about when you have a fast-paced job with 4 kids, you're always playing the game of life on hard mode. Let's jump in.
Hey everybody, welcome to a Marley Good podcast, and we are here again bringing you the hot fire of podcasting to all 56 people that are following me. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Oh, by the way, if you haven't subscribed on YouTube, you can do that, and that helps me out a lot. Or you could do both, subscribe on YouTube, Spotify. That would be amazing, and you can do that below, or you've figured it out.
Do it. It's super easy and very worth it.
So yeah, it helps out so much. I mean, it's just a click. I mean, and you follow other stuff you don't
what's funny is
pay attention to.
It's crazy how much you have to do to get somebody just to click. You know what I mean? It's wild. Yeah.
Once I started doing this, I started following people a little bit more. You know what I mean? Just give them that love back of it's no hurt off my skin.
Yeah.
Anyways. So before we get started with my guest, let me give a regular shout outs. Above Average Show Media does all the media stuff. Where that find that on Instagram. My guy Jason Wishpocket, he does all my audio. Thank you, Jason. My guy Jaron, he has No Names Originals. Support local art of North Carolina. And then last but not least, my guy Mo has Go Bubble app, and if you use the promo code Go Moderately, you get some sort of discount.
Bam. Very clean.
Everybody. Say hi to one of my really good friends, brothers, Austin. Say, what's up, Austin?
What's up, Austin?
And then we got Storm and Norman sitting over in the corner. What's up, Norm?
What's up, y'all?
So
what's up? Shout out, Big Worm.
So and we're gonna get close and personal with these two dudes in a little bit. But before we get started, Austin, just give kind of quick shout outs to kind of what you do, and then anything we should follow around you on social media or any of that good jazz.
So I guess if I had to tell you what I do, I'm basically a freelance broadcast tech. I only put it in that bubble just because it means a lot of different things. I wear a lot of different hats for different companies. I'm a video and camera utility for the UFC. I am a crayon paint operator for the Raiders at Allegiant Stadium. And I am a PPT operator for SMT with the Vegas Golden Knights in the NHL. That's player and puck tracking, where we
So he has some pretty cool jobs.
Yeah, and then on top of that, I do a lot of freelance tech stuff for all kinds of other other entities and stuff like that. And I'm a freelance guy. We're out here. We're all basically human Swiss Army knives. So we all have a bunch of different skills, and we all use them all the time.
And you're a hustler.
Yeah, man. That should probably be the number thing. I'm a hustler all day.
But I think it's a healthy. It appears to be a healthy hustle to me.
Oh, it's literally the most healthy hustle because
you just want to be better. You're just trying to get your hustle is to be better, right?
Here's the other thing is I figured out that my hustle got even better when you have people that depend on you as well.
Oh yeah, that helps.
So it's huge motivation.
Hey, but
you know what I mean. But also
it's an inspiring though.
Oh yeah.
I tell people all the time no kid life is great. But kid life is also great.
Oh, kid life's dope.
And one of the big things about kid life is that your hustle has more passion and love behind it now because there are people that depend on you when you become a dad.
And the other thing is as a dad, like like growing up, you always had homies. Their dads had cool jobs and stuff, and like you always, kids looked up to their dads because like, oh man, my dad does this. My dad does this. You get to brag. I hope one day my kids brag about me that way, because Joe, my dad does. My dad's been doing that. My dad works for the NFL. My dad works for the NHL. My dad works for the MLB. My dad works for the UFC. Like anytime that my kids in the future are watching TV with their friends, and like, yo, my dad works on that, or my dad worked on that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of one of those like little motivations that like I just want to be cool to my kids, you
Right
know.
now, but I mean, I think there's a certain level of like one. I don't know. I think every parent wants to be cool to their kids, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, and not like in a weird way, but just in a way of just like, like you want to relate to your kids like they're your kids.
Yeah.
You know.
Like I mean,
Hey kids, go easy on your parents, by the way, when they're
just a
being
little bit.
nerds.
If your
You know what
dad's
I
an
mean?
accountant, there's a reason he's doing it for you.
But
Okay.
he could be Ben Affleck, like in the accountant.
Dude, and if your dad was autistic and just murking motherfuckers, that dude's a next level human being. Love it. But like, dude, growing up, like, I grew up as a military brat and looking up to my dad, and my dad's got a cool fucking job. He had a great job. He was a navigator on fast attack nuclear subs. And I mean, he used to, I think he was on a flight deck on the Kennedy in the beginning of his career. Like my dad was in the Navy as basically as a lifer, and he did some really cool things along the way. And I've always been obsessed with kind of like the military life when we were growing up. And I mean, I looked up to him because he loved what he did, and he's doing it as a civilian contractor to this day as a navigator. And um, and that's just another thing that like I respect of him and like admire about him, is that he found what he loved and he's just doing it. And that's kind of what I want my kids to see about me. It's like, damn, there was a really hard time. I fell on hard times. Everybody in our field does, because you got slow seasons and stuff like that. But we keep grinding and we keep putting out cool shit. And I want my kids to see that, you know, the hustle doesn't die for a reason, because we really love what we do. And I hope that they find that same thing one day. So, yeah.
Well, just think about like my kids. Her dad makes like a podcast in his garage.
Yeah, but you love it, right?
Oh, I mean, it's really, it's been really fun. But the fun part about doing this has been the letting go of expectations. That's been the best part about this. Is just really letting go of the idea of perfect, and just letting it just be what it is. Like it's so much more enjoyable.
And that's as a creative, man. You gotta just not give a shit. You have to just put things out there, and just if people receive it, they receive it. If they don't, they don't. And I mean, it's a process. Like, dude, I'm still figuring this stuff out all the time. Every time I work a gig, I'm like, what?
But
like,
I think you said it best.
Yeah.
What would you say earlier, that like like you're always evolving? You know what I mean? Like,
you have to, man, because if you don't, you're gonna fall behind, and you gotta constantly be learning, especially in like the stuff that me and my people do. Like, I mean, in the industry as a whole, not just like me and my friends and like the guys I work with, but if you don't stick with the times and upgrade your brain and constantly learn and take classes, and whether it be online or fucking in a room and whatever, or on YouTube, like if you're not doing that kind of stuff, you're gonna fall behind. You're gonna fall by the wayside, and you're gonna end up,
well, I think
doing something else that you don't want to do.
The linear line of a career used to move slower.
Oh yeah.
And now the line moves way quicker. And then when you're in technology, it moves even quicker.
Oh, dude, it's like a new thing every month for us. Like, case in point, like I started learning the basics of broadcasting only 6 or 7 years ago. And then just the stuff that has come into play from that point to now is insane. And like, I've actually been a part of a brand new technology that died 3 years later. And I'm one of 2 people in Vegas that know how to run it. And like, that's just how quick things in technology come in and out, especially for what we do. Because sometimes it sounds like a cool idea and they spend all this money to make it, and you learn it, you spend years crafting and honing your skills, not crafting your skills, but honing your skills, honing your craft. That's what the words I'm looking for. But And then all of a sudden it's like, nope, this is obsolete. You're gonna learn a new thing now. And I mean, that's just tech for you, man. That's tech, but especially in when it comes to broadcasting and media, film, TV in general, like there's always something that's gonna everything you learned was out the window. Now you gotta learn this new thing.
But I would say also that, like, in the sense of, like, the more that you learn, like, then you become these little specialties and these little things. So like you said, you're one of two guys in Vegas that know how to do this particular thing.
Yeah.
Even though it's outdated, if someone for whatever reason is looking for that particular thing, you have that skill, and if you accumulate a bunch of those and there's nothing, you lose nothing by learning. You lose nothing by just trying to learn more about whatever your job is or whatever you're doing.
Well, actually, it's very true, because that obsolete job got me a new job in the same room where so case in point,
because they wanted somebody on staff that knew how to do that.
Well, they wanted somebody that could pick up new tech, or
So they wanted somebody that was willing to learn and evolve.
And it was for stuff like something they needed in house. So case in point, this is actually for me and my buddy Dave Carafelli, DC. Shout out DC, you're the man. We ran this program for Intel Sports called the TrueView system, and it's where like we had 38 cameras that we mounted around Allegiant Stadium, and they all shot towards the field, and they recorded volumetric video data. And we took that data, pulled it into a program called 3D, and built highlights. So like, like in the Matrix when you see a camera spin, well, that was actually multiple cameras, but this was done with multiple cameras, but we would actually take that data, project all of the players onto like a 3D field built in Maya, and then build Madden style highlights. Like when you play Madden and you want to watch a replay of something, and you freeze frame it, and then you spin your camera around that one-hander ODB catch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Odell Beckham. But and then you're like, oh, that was sick. Well, we could do that in real time. And then within 3 years, boom, completely obsolete. So what the Raiders saw was someone that could pick up new tech like that and then apply it to what they wanted. So we did it for Intel for a year, and then for 2 years we did it for Intel, and then for a year we did it for like about half a year we did it for the Raiders. And then the funding got cut, we were done, and then they reached out to me like, hey, you want to learn something else new? I was like, yeah. So now I build highlights and with crayon paint for the Raiders, which is cool. And it's a tech I'm literally learning and teaching myself on the job, which is kind of the fun part for me. It's like trial by fire, they need people like that in tech and media and stuff that can just pick it up and go run with it and just see what happens.
So in your spare time, you're making Madden video type games where ODB is like older bastard is like making.
No, I meant Odell Beckham, not ODB. But
I know that. I just got this totally visual of hit like ODB with all his dreads, just like jumping back like like this.
Yeah, just like and then his fucking theme song starts playing in the back. I don't know. I think it's just a thing I do. I think it's partially a reason why I can be pretty good at what I do, just because. Like, to be a tech on broadcast sets, you have to be like all over the place.
Johnny on the spot.
Yeah, bro, Johnny on the spot, exactly. And you gotta.
Is it like an adrenaline rush? Do you get like excited?
Dude, it depends on the fucking gig, but a lot of it, like, dude, when I do UFC, I mean, it's really chill because like we'll go when we do a pay-per-view, we'll go build out the show at T-Mobile Arena, and then like that part for me is fun because I like it, like just because I'm a nerd for this stuff. Like I like doing this. I like being a tech, and then when the show is built, I'm just pulling cable into the octagon, but I'm 5 feet away from somebody getting knocked the fuck out, and it's like that's an adrenaline rush for me. But then like the other adrenaline rushes come in different ways. Like when case in point, I just had my first day at my new job with in-house with the Raiders at Allegiant Stadium, and I'm learning in the program. So my first day on it, I had 6 hours before game time to literally go from introduction part 0.1 whatever, like what's the prologue of a training book. And I had 6 hours to just start learning, and I got one clip out that day. I was so excited. I sent the clip to my brother, and I was like, dude, I just went live in-house with a clip with a technique I learned how to do that day. And that is the biggest rush for me, like seeing my work go onto a screen that a packed house during a preseason game, by the way, there were like some ridiculous amount of people. It wasn't quite sold out, but it was getting there. And seeing my work on that screen and having buddies of mine text me literally when I was there, like, yo, I just saw that. Was that you? And I was like, yeah, it was me. That's where I get my adrenaline rush. Like getting something out there, having it seen, and then moving on to the next thing. Like that's like get an absolute kick out of that. Like it literally pumps me up for the next fucking thing. But then, but then you have other stuff that you do where it's just like, run of the day, like programming and stuff that I do for the NHL and all that. But like, I get a kick out of that too because I'm a fucking nerd. And like, I get my adrenaline rushes in all these different ways because I wear so many different hats. And, but yeah, I guess that's like the best way I can explain that.
I have a question for you. So, when it goes well, like, when it's the perfect scenario, it's like, that's that dope feeling, right?
Yeah.
How do you react when it doesn't go the way, like you record a clip or you do something and it doesn't exactly turn out the way you thought it was going to turn out? How do you recover from that? And like, because like I'm assuming that you don't waste very much time, very little time, because you're like, I'm looking for the next win. I'm not worried about the current loss.
Yeah. So I honestly, bro, I've taught myself not to even think about that. Like that day, like for example, that day I think I built like 15 clips trying different things out. One made air, and that one was enough for me. I don't worry about the other 14 or whatever that I think it was 15 clips, but I only got one out. I think of the other 14 I didn't really worry about. I put it out, like and that goes with any type of work that we do. Like I put it out, it's accepted or it's not. Move on to the next thing, because it's basically like the same thing with athletes. Move on to the next play. So that play's gone. Move to the next play. And just don't dwell on the past and move on.
So when you get your clip and then you send it to someone to review.
Yeah, I'll send it to one of the EVS crew guys,
and then they review it really quickly whether they're going to use it or not.
Yeah, or like they'll have. So like what I do is I'll build a clip, like, or what I did. So the way it went down was like I built a clip. Basically, I just dropped like a Madden circle, boom, over a running back, just so that basically it keeps your eye on that player to watch the move that he made to score that touchdown. So when I drop that, the EVS guys will see it. I let them know, like, hey, I got a clip. They're like, all right, cool. We're going to take it. Go ahead and play it. They record it, and then they put it into a package. Then their showrunner or the director will see that. Be like, hey, add that to your package. Or the EVS guys that like it will build a package and it'll be like, all right, this EVS guy's focus is the first quarter replays. And then you'll see all the replays run, and then boom, there's my clip. But I think I can't remember exactly if that was the way they went down, or if they just, it was at the end of the scoring run and I had made it pretty fast and they just threw it in there and I saw it live and I was like, holy shit, what just happened? Did I really just go live on my first day? This is great. But that's basically how it would go down.
Well, I mean, and I think what I'm kind of hearing is there's a lot of ways to kind of approach that, right? Like you can either do like kind of a shotgun theory and just like throw as many up there as you can to just try to get something out, or take a little bit more time, try to put something a little bit more together, and then send it in a timely kind of manner.
Yeah, well, like the whole goal is like, from what I've been reading, like the guys that are really good at this can get a clip out. Like what they want is me to be able to get a clip out and immediately, as fast as I possibly can, like between a minute to 2 minutes, and it's out. And they want the content, they want to see it, they want to show it, because the show is just going. And if you don't get in there fast enough, too bad. Move on to the next play.
Yeah.
But when there's slow parts of games where nothing's happening, there's just a terrible fucking 3-and-out drive and a punt, I'll go back to some plays from before and start tweaking, messing around with them, see if I can
find anything.
See if I can find something. And then while I'm doing that, some crazy defensive play happens where there's a sack or an interception, strip sack, something. I'll take that, boom, I'll trash everything that I'm doing right at that moment, jump on that play and start working. So like I might move back into the past like a little bit, but that's just to find some more stuff. I'm not worried about the stuff that I already made and they didn't take.
It feels a lot like fishing.
Kind of.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like kind of like if the spot ain't hot, I'm going to go over here, and then I'm kind of, look, I think that's a good spot over there. I'm jumping over there kind of quick.
Yeah. And try to turn something into something from nothing, or however like they say. Try to turn nothing into something.
What I don't know if you know this. What would be a good percentage of live clips that you get? Like if you were to record a game, what would be a number you'd shoot? Like I want to get 2 on there, 3. Like one a lot.
I would love to get 1 per quarter, but because I'm so new at this.
No, I'm saying, but like your goal is kind of like one.
My
per
goal
quarter.
is one per quarter.
Yeah.
But
Like what? Do
dude,
you know what a good guy does? Like that.
they probably, dude, the guys that have been doing this job probably get one per drive if it's a good drive.
Wow.
And these guys have been doing it for a while.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
yeah.
that's like with anything. Any editor, EVS guy, or what have you, can build things so quick because it's just second nature to them. That's what I need. That's the point I need to get to. Is where this is second nature to me. I just build it, move on.
Here's what I think is so interesting about that is that in our social media, we curate it a lot before we put it out, right? And you're kind of like doing the almost the exact opposite. Like you're literally like recording things and not really thinking. You're like, you're like split decision, good, not good, out.
Yeah.
Right. And like, I kind of try to think of my social media more like that. I try not to think about it too much. I just kind of like post shit and move on.
Yeah.
I think Joe Rogan said something like he posts and ghosts, and I thought that was like
I heard him say that before too.
Yeah,
which
like,
I really like that.
Yeah, like post and ghosts. I mean, that's totally like what my social media is. I don't look, it serves a purpose for me to do this kind of stuff or whatever. So I was just like, I was kind of curious, like you seem like, like you seem like you set goals, right?
Yeah.
So what is kind of, maybe you don't even know this yet, what is your initial goal for this job, and then what is like what are you shooting for? What's your short-term goal, long-term goal for this job? Like what do you want to do?
Well, short-term goal is to like just learn the program, get good at it, and then long-term goal is to be good at it for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's like, seal my spot basically in and it has to do with anything in film and broadcast and stuff like that. Like your whole point of getting good at your job is to be needed, to be necessary.
Right.
You have to be necessary. Otherwise, what is the point in you being there? You're kind of wasting space, money, and time where they could have somebody else come in. And that's the game we play, basically. Like, if you're not good at your job, the next guy up is going to come in that's better than you and take that spot. My goal is to stay at that top tier to where nobody's, I stay in that spot for a long time, because number one, I really enjoy it, and those are the guys that really enjoy what we do are the ones that stay in those top spots for a long time, and they don't fall by the wayside. And we all and like we were talking about earlier, like we're the guys that stay with the tech, we stay up to date, and we hone our craft.
But like at your job, you're doing
It's
that
your
like
job, man.
you're doing that in like under a minute.
Exactly. And it's like you don't dwell on you don't dwell on content or work that you put out and wasn't received well. Like, just move on to the next thing, because if you dwell in the past, the rest of your shit's gonna be shit. If you just
not
move
focused.
Yeah, you just gotta focus. You gotta tunnel vision the shit out of it. And I mean, that's what a lot of us do. The guys that fall by the wayside in any art form, really, and are the ones that dwell too much on the mistakes that they made with their craft, other than instead of just continuing to hone it, get smarter, get better. And that's
I don't look back too much.
It's good.
I don't go back and watch videos or rewatch after I watch the podcast for the first time, and I do all my processing and stuff. I don't watch it much after that.
See, that's a good thing. Like, I mean, you watch it once.
Yeah, I watch it once. I put it all together the way I want to, and then once I've gotten that, I've pretty much seen it, and then it goes out the door, and then I don't ever watch it really again, unless I'm showing it to somebody.
Of course.
Something.
And like you got to watch it that one time to see like, where could I have bettered myself? Right here. Take that information and then move on to the next thing.
Yeah,
use
just
that information.
just apply it forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's the only thing you can control is what you apply forward, right?
Yeah, but there are things I will rewatch, and that's the stuff that I really did well on.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it's the stuff you can't help but watch and be like, oh man, damn, I fucking killed that.
There's a couple times like when I do like intros and things like that where I'm like, man, that's the emotion. What I'm feeling is the emotion I wanted to hopefully invoke in other people. Right?
Yeah.
Like it's really just excited emotion about who my guest is or whatever else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you consider yourself to be a hustler?
Yeah.
I think that shows in when you describe your job and what you do, and like when you talked about the adrenaline rush and all that kind of stuff, that kind of speaks to me as somebody that's hustling, right?
Dude, you have to. Like I said, like if you don't hustle, the next guy will.
Yeah.
And
But you welcome that. Like you want that.
Oh, I like the pressure, man.
Yeah. You're leaning into all of that.
Well, the whole thing about being a tech and like when I am doing tech stuff is your job is literally on the line every day because your product is going onto a live broadcast, right? For thousands, however millions of people to see, depending on the
under a
job.
minute.
And basically the tech's job is to build the show and then firewatch. Like you're there for shit to go wrong and to fix it like that. It could be the smallest thing from a monitor not working for like for a stand-up reporter to be like, oh shit, I can't see this. Can you fix this? Boom, run over there, bam, fix it. It's good. And then they could go all the way to like an issue on the truck where they need utilities out there fucking swapping cables and doing all kinds of stuff because your show just went down and you guys are supposed to be live. Like that's very rare because the guys in those trucks, the engineers are so fucking good at their jobs that it's very rare. But you know, shit happens, and you know we got to be Johnny on the spot.
Have you worked any concerts, like music concerts?
So the last one that I did was actually like the last entertainment thing I did was not a concert. It was a show though. It was Chris Angel, and I did Mind Freak and a Mystica, and because of a what's that form you sign?
You can't talk about it.
Yeah.
DNA.
Yeah.
No, I mean NDA.
NDA. Thank you. So I'm sorry, my brain. It's been a lot of traveling today. Because of the NDA, I can't talk about that show.
Okay.
But cool. But with music, the one before that was like iHeartRadio last year. It was like All Time Low, Kid Laroi, and
how was that?
Olivia Rodrigo too. And
a bunch of kids screaming.
Dude, it was a great show, to be honest.
Oh really?
Yeah, it was really good. Oh yeah, Megan Thee Stallion also. That was actually. I'll give it up for Megan Thee Stallion because she can put on the show. Because it's like you hear her name and everybody's like, oh, she's gonna come on stage and fucking twerk and stuff. It's like, no, dude, she has an entire dance troupe, like a whole dance crew of women come out in high heels and crush it on stage while she's doing her thing in fucking fluffy slippers, she's standing on full audio, like full speaker stacks over a crowd doing her thing, and it's a great show. And then you go from that, and you go to like All Time Low, which like I in my younger years, I came up on that stuff, and then you go from that to
Dirty Little Secret.
Dude, that was a great song. They played that one too. Actually, dude, when they played Dear Maria, Count Me In, the whole fucking place lost their mind. Like, because that's like one of their all-time classics. But then you go from that to the Kid Laroi, which my stepson Gavin lost his mind. I was sending him videos and stuff during that part, and then Olivia Rodrigo coming out, who's like going to be, you know, one of the all-time greats. If you listen to her music, she's absolutely amazing. And I mean, stage presence is phenomenal.
Somebody's got to take Taylor Swift's place,
dude. Yeah, go on and get Olivia's here, so you know. but yeah, I worked those shows before, and those are a little more. Come to think of it, dude, those are actually like some pretty high stress. Like my buddies that work like nothing but concerts and entertainment and stuff. It's like at any time something can go wrong. Because it's live movement. There's so many moving parts,
chords and lights.
Dude, there's so many moving parts in a live show, a live music and entertainment show that you're just like, you're waiting for something to go wrong.
Would you? So you know, you were talking about like your current job. It is kind of like you're waiting to put out fires, right? Would you have any desire to do like a concert where it's like that, where it's like that amplified? Do you have any desire to do something like that?
Oh yeah, because those gigs pay more.
Oh,
but yeah.
Well, yeah, but you got a lot more responsibility.
But
I guess,
you have
too,
a
right?
ton of responsibility.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're waiting for things to go wrong, and you know what's cool is like most of the time nothing goes wrong, but then there is a good percentage of things actually going wrong. And you got to be there and be prepared mentally and physically to be able to just jump in, fix the problem, and move on. And but that's where I get a rush because I'm like, you know, something could go wrong. I'm fucking here. And when something goes wrong and I fix it, I'm like, woo, I did that. That was me. And then like, and it's to the point where like, dude, I watch my buddies do shit like that where they're like, you know, they'll beat me to the punch or whatever. I'll hear it over comms or, you know, I'm watching the feed and then something goes wrong and I'm like, I know where it is. And I get there and one of my buddies is doing it, fixes it on the spot. And then I get hyped on that shit too. Like I get hyped on my homies doing what I get an adrenaline rush out of because it's basically we all like doing it. We're all good at it. And I mean, watching other people, like watching my people around me thrive as well and be able to crush it at what we do is just as good.
I'm assuming like good athletes, great athletes, that you know, they don't really take any time during quote unquote during the game to appreciate what they do. But I would sure like after a game, you know, somebody like Tom Brady sits around and he goes, man, like, you know, watches film and goes like that drive was great, blah blah blah, or whatever. Right?
Dude, we recap
So
stuff
like
that
I was
all
gonna
the
ask,
time.
do y'all
Yeah.
do that?
Yeah, well, that's what I was getting to. Is like,
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
we'll recap. Like, we'll go to another show, like, you know, fucking a week later, a couple days later, a week later, whatever. And, like, you'll see the same guys you worked with on another show. Be like, yo, man, nice moves on that last one. You know, good fix. Like, that was good shit, bro. Or like even on the spot, like I'll see it get fixed, and then I'll see that homie later and be like, yo, sick move. Like, that was great. You know, you always try to you know, the guys we all work together all the time. We always try to hype each other up and stuff like that. You know, makes it, you know, the camaraderie is like just some next level for us because we're all getting a kick out of what we're doing. You know.
Have you ever been to a show where something went wrong?
Me?
Yeah.
Like a music event?
Just like any, like, have you ever been somewhere where like the sound didn't work or something like went haywire or something like that?
I'm sure, but it's not something totally memorable.
You don't really remember, right?
No.
I was trying to think about it too. I don't really
You want to know? You want to know what I think about that stuff? Is like when you
fire away.
Oh, dude, there's always like when it comes to audio stuff, those guys have it pretty hard. Even though people will say like, "Oh, audio's easy." Like, I don't do audio for a reason, because that is literally like, obviously video, audio, boom, right there. They're on the same level. Can't have one without the other, right? But like those audio guys go through the fucking ringer when something doesn't sound right, you know? Or if and at any time, like, dude, they have mics die mid show and they got to be on the spot, like. But then also they have entire teams built around this to make sure it doesn't happen. So when you don't hear, if you don't notice it, that's the point. Because, dude, something could have gone wrong, but these guys are so good at their jobs that they fixed it so
like
fast.
NASCAR, changing the
bam,
tires,
just like that.
Yeah,
they're pit crew, bro. They're just in there, bam, out, and you never noticed it. And that's like half of our jobs is, you know, build and fix. You know,
that's great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I didn't know that I would get a kick out of doing that, because like I started out in LA, working for my buddy Josh Daly at Moss Productions as a assistant editor and second and first AC. So like I used to go pull focus for, you know, food commercials and whatnot, and then I'd go back to the studio up in East Bay and Pleasant Hill and sit in an office overnight and just sit there and do rough cuts for him and drop footage, do all the normal assistant editor stuff. And then and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. And then you know, pulling focus on sets and stuff, and then but like eventually, like, it just wasn't as exciting as it was. Like it got old for me pretty quick. Within a couple of years, I was kind of like, I fell off.
You were stagnant, right? Like you're a guy, you want to learn. And so
I want to learn. I'm always learning. I'm still always learning to this day. Like,
so it's probably that was a stagnant job for you, right?
But yeah, no, but it was cool because I mean every day is different. Like it was exciting because you're always on a different gig. Like if you're working on a movie, the next day is a new page, and you're gonna see and hear some new stuff. But then, I mean, it's the job itself, and then, you know, some of the people sucked. But like, and it was the highest stress environment, but like it wasn't enjoyable stress. I don't know if that makes sense, but like for me, there is such a thing as like some enjoyable stress, which is that putting out fires during a live broadcast show. Like that's, you know, the adrenaline rush we're talking about. Like, right. That's that enjoyable stress for me. It's the weirdest thing. I don't even know why I would put it that way, but it just, for me, it makes sense.
Well, yes or no? To enjoy your job, you probably have to enjoy the stress of that job somewhat.
Oh yeah.
Or you have to at least be more tolerant of it, or
yeah.
understand it, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, if you're at a job and it has a lot of stress and you hate that part of your job, you're probably not going to like your job too much.
Probably not. Yeah, if you hate it, then you're definitely not going to want to be there. But like when I got kind of jaded doing the whole film and TV thing, and then I mean when I started doing broadcast, I just got a whole different high from it, I guess. And yeah, the whole thing changed for me when I went from one thing to the next. Like when I went from the film and TV on set life to being at a fucking sporting event every day. It's like, I love sports so much that this is just really enjoyable for me. You know what I mean?
It's fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, I could do that for forever, honestly. It's just one of those things. Like I can't believe that I'm doing it, and I've been doing it for a few years now and stuff. And like, I don't know. It's just it hasn't gotten old yet.
That's
at
cool.
all. It hasn't gotten old, dude. It's fucking fun, man.
It's a good job.
It's so fun. Yeah. Plus, dude, I'm like surrounded by like dudes that people wish they could even be in the same room as. You know,
Yeah.
like I just got a gig, I've done a few of them with another company now where we're doing hits for NFL Network, right?
Mhm.
And we did a stand up. And it was one of the coolest interviews because it kind of reminded me of me and Norman talking to each other here in this room. And it was David and Derek Carr talking
no
to
way.
each other at the Raiders practice facility. It was one of the coolest fucking moments I've ever had in this job. And I was there as a tech. I was a fiber tech and like running lights and doing all kinds of different. I was wearing a few different hats for a buddy of mine. And that was one of those things that makes like the whole grind worth it, you know? Because like it's like, dude, I'm watching the original Houston Texan quarterback interview his little brother for the team that I work for right now. And like I even got to chop it up with both of them. Fucking most polite guys. And David was beyond cool with me, and especially because like one of my camera guys was like, "Hey, David, you met Austin yet?" And it's like, "Oh shit, why would you fucking do that?" And he's like, "Hey, Austin, how you doing?" And like we started talking about Texas, and he lived in Sugarland, like literally right down the road from our Aunt Shay and stuff. Like it was just like we talked Texas, and didn't really go into his career because I know it's probably a sore subject and stuff. But I mean, couldn't be a nicer guy. And then watching him talk with his brother and just have fun at work. Like it's just one of those things you get to watch that in person, and it's like you kind of connect with it as well, you know. And,
Are you David or Derek Carr in this scenario?
well, I would defer to my older brother, but he's definitely the David, and I'm definitely the Derek right now.
Obviously.
It's only because he's older, but I'm just kidding, bro.
Welcome to the greatest American art form, the mixtape. Mixtape, a homemade compilation of media typically from multiple sources recorded into a medium. Mixtape therapy, a compilation of authentic conversations recorded by multiple people on my podcast. Our connections are experiences that we have, and I hope these mixtapes make us feel more connected. Remember, be authentic. They'll adjust.
Has y'all's relationship always been the same, or at some point did y'all not like each other, and then at some point y'all did like each other, and then was back and forth or whatever? Anyone can go.
So when I was a baby, and I've been told this story multiple times from multiple sources, when I was a baby, we were visiting our grandfather, and we were taking a picture with him, and Norman's leaning into me, I'm leaning into him, and our grandpa's right there, and I don't know, Mom was taking a picture, and they were like, "Smile." Norman goes, "I hate you." And they took the picture, and then I think my grandpa smacked Norman in the back of the head.
How old were y'all?
I was a baby, so Norman was 8.
Probably
9.
1. I was probably 9.
Yeah, something like that. But Norman always said he didn't like me because I stole his thunder, and that his allowance went from 5 He-Men to 3 G.I. Joes, and then when my sister was born, his allowance was 1 Ninja Turtle a month or something. Like it went down, not even in monetary form, in the amount of action figures he was allowed to buy.
My meager inheritance, very, very meager inheritance,
Hey Norman,
has been halved and then third.
Yeah.
Hey, who got those He-Man? Who got all that stuff whenever you were done with it? All the He-Man and stuff.
Oh, he got all this stuff.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's
You know what I
that's your
do
inheritance,
remember
son.
though?
Hand me down king right there.
Let's go. No, I was kidding. Yeah. But I do remember at one point when I was a little kid, I remember at one point we were trying to collect and you were trying to teach me about not opening shit. Like, you remember when the X-Men action figures, we were all hung up on those things, like, and we'd see them. I don't remember. I remember I have some memory of us being in a room. I don't know if it was our room or somebody else's room, but they had X-Men action figures in the box on a wall, like still in their packaging, but hung up on a wall for like.
Y'all friends some nerd or what?
Probably. But
I remember something. Hey, Norman, that wasn't your wall,
unless
was it?
we were at a toy.
Those X-Men are out of there.
Just like my sneakers, and I tell people wear your sneakers, I play with my toys.
Yeah, but I remember I have some specific memory I thought about where like you were trying to teach me about collectibles at some point. And it had to do with the action figures, and it had to do specifically with X-Men action figures that we were trying to find and G.I. Joes. I remember one G.I. Joe in particular the Ice Cream Man. He was like an orange and tan Cobra soldier, and I remember that action figure to this day.
He sold stink bombs, and
He sold our GI Joes for stink bombs.
No, Austin. I'd collected baseball cards and basketball cards, and this dude traded away a Michael Jordan hologram card for a Pokemon card, and it wasn't his Michael Jordan card. That's for sure.
It was not
So when I found out and realized that card was no longer there as part of a set, I wanted to get my card back, and of course it was some kid that he traded to at school, and there was no way of getting that back. So thank you for that. There's still a missing
but
card.
I want to know, what's that Pokemon card worth? You know,
Probably nothing.
Probably nothing.
And
I
what's
don't
that-
even
what's that hologram
remember
worth,
I don't
Lauren?
remember the card.
Last time I
remember
checked,
what I
that
traded
card
for
was somewhere around $150 when
At
last
the
time I
time,
checked.
and
This
that
was
was
many years ago, so who knows what it's worth now?
And that was like 25 years
I mean,
ago, at least.
you could have got a better Pokemon card.
Yeah. Yep.
If it was a first edition Charizard or something, bro, and I still had that card, we'd be sitting on money and he wouldn't be talking about Michael Jordan card anymore right now. But it was not.
Hey, if it makes you feel any better, Norm, that kid probably don't have that card no more either.
Yeah, that doesn't make me feel better. It would be a part of my set right now still.
So you still have that set without that card?
Yeah. I have
Oh, God bless, Austin. You need to buy this card for this dude. What are you doing?
Yeah.
As soon as I am able to do that, I will be reciprocating
Yep.
heavily.
I was just hoping it's still $150, but it's probably not. Huh?
That'd be fucking sweet if it was, because I would have bought that thing.
Hey,
a
but
long
here's
time ago.
here's the good part about it. You don't have to buy him a graded one because that's not what you gave away.
No.
Just buy a non-graded one.
Just give me
We'll
something.
look it up later.
You know.
I need
We'll find out
I
if
need a
it's real.
Jamie is what I need.
I need-
Where's Joe?
I need to
Joe,
fill my
where the
coffers.
fuck are you, Joe?
I need to fill it back up, get my set completed. But
So, would you say you would say y'all are pretty close now though, huh?
yeah. I mean,
So when did it change? When did y'all go from kind of not getting along to getting along? What was the? I mean, was there an event? Do you remember?
we've always gotten along. It's just we, had typical older brother, little brother stuff, and especially because we had a 8-year age difference. So I was getting into things that he wanted to be involved in that he was literally way too young to do or whatever, and or it was I'm doing things with my friends and he wanted to come be involved or something like that.
And I mean, dude, I always looked up to Norman. I mean, we shared a room for a long time in that small little 2-bedroom apartment at the Arbors. Shout out, one of the sketchiest apartment buildings I've ever seen to this day.
The Arbors is not that bad.
Where is
It's
this
not
at?
really
Where is
that
this
bad.
at?
This is actually
In Wells Branch.
It's
Yeah.
not really that sketchy.
It's not that bad.
It's not that bad. I'm just talking shit because it's old now. And but we shared a room, and Norman had all the cool stuff, and I was just a little kid. And he on his half of the room, it was just cool shit on the walls: Tupac, Biggie.
I just don't
Bo
want you
Jackson
touching my stuff.
I always wanted to touch the stuff. He had the 2-tape boombox
Yep.
that he used to record his own mixtapes on. I remember a day where Norman, actually, specific story we haven't talked about yet. I listened to my brother do a Yo Mama joke battle live on air and fucking win.
Yes, I did.
And
On the radio?
On the radio.
dude, on the radio. What were you trying to win? Tickets to what?
It's I won tickets to a premiere of what was that movie with Morgan Freeman where he was the president and the world came to an end. Deep Impact.
Yes.
Deep Impact. That's what it was. So I
You
won.
remember the jokes that you used?
I do know some Yo Mama joke.
I remember
don't
I remember the hops. I think I remember the hopscotch one. Your mom is so fat she plays hopscotch with the states, or something. And then I don't remember any of those, but I remember him doing the Yo Mama battle, and I remember the other guy being just dry as hell, like just no finesse, no skill at all,
No delivery.
no delivery. The dude was terrible, and Norman absolutely mopped the floor with him.
All right, really quickly, let's do impromptu Yo Mama battle. Go, Norman.
No,
Oh,
no, it's the same
shit.
mother, so we can. do
Yeah,
that.
we can't. Yeah, that's my mom you're
That's my
talking
mom
about,
you're
bro.
talking
No, but that's the best part about it. Is that's like I want to see how gentle you're willing to go.
That's literally like you see those memes or something, making some fun of somebody's mom, and I want to send it to my brother. I'm like, no, but then talking about my mom.
You're talking about my own mom.
I can't do that.
That's like when my sister, like to this day, will do some shit. I'll say something to her. She's like, "Yeah, your mama." I was like, we have the same mom. mom, dude.
Yeah.
What? That's my mom you're talking about, bro. That's
your
my
mom.
words.
So y'all have always got along, right?
Yeah.
But obviously, so I'm just gonna go out on a limb and probably say that y'all are just kind of like it's typically what brothers do. Like everybody's probably had very similar experiences. But what do you think has kept y'all like tight? Because not everybody stays tight with their, they'll be tight with them when they're young. They might get tight with them when they're older, but then they fall out. So what do you think has kept y'all together like all these years? Just kind of,
Well, some people like we've had a lot of distance, like physical distance, since he was in middle school because they moved to our parents moved to Hawaii. I went out there for a little bit, but decided to come back here to Texas. So, and I've never left. And he's since moved from Hawaii to California to Vegas. And so we haven't lived together in 20 years, So, when we get together, it's an event. It's usually one of us, are on vacation. And
The most anticipated events of the year.
yeah, so we we get to hang out. It's not like we do it a lot.
Yeah.
Obviously everybody's got social media and FaceTime and stuff, and we can do that, and we do that stuff.
I think me and my brother send more memes to you than anybody else on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like how it's like that's our way to communicate. Like I don't really have to talk. I don't have to call my brother every day and be like, "Hey man, how you doing? All right, love you, bye." Our thing, I guess, right now because of the age of social media and where we're at is like we just send each other funny ass shit and then just talk about it. And then if something happens with it literally anything in sports that would blow our minds, we send it.
Yeah.
Like, and that's how we communicate all the time. And then like, yeah, when it's almost like we save all the other stuff for like when we're in person. Like we don't talk about our family issues unless like it needs to be talked about. And then normally that's in person, which is, it is what it is, but we don't really have those kind of issues as much. But it's man, it's just how it is. It's yeah. It's just,
I have this theory that the meme replaced saying movie lines to each other.
Yeah.
dude, we used to do that heavily as
Yeah.
well.
But like, when's the last time? Like, how often do you use like movie lines now? You don't? Do you
Well, I
really
just
do
did it
that
earlier.
anymore? Because I'll do it every once in a while,
Yeah.
but like not like I mean, I feel like guys kind of used to just quote movie lines all the
Dude,
time,
all
and,
the time.
and memes kind of took care of that whole.
Nonstop.
Well, to this day, like even me and my homies, like we quote The Office to each other ridiculous amounts of times during a day, and it's just it's just one of those things that will never die. It's just like you're always gonna do it, even if it's not that much. It's still gonna happen.
From 2003 to probably 2008, the amount of times people said, "I'm Rick James, bitch," is just incalculable.
Yeah,
Everybody was saying those things, like whatever you saw on TV a couple nights before, like that's what people did, and it still happens, I guess. But people aren't glued to the TV as much; they're glued to their phones.
Yeah,
and they're glued to
And
social media.
But what I would say to that, just really quickly, what I would say to that is, now there's those memes where it's a still shot of the movie, and then that quote is underneath it, and then they add, there's another joke on top of it, right?
it's like
And that's the answer, and that's become the new movie quotes or whatever.
Well, it's people being able to show their creativeness and their snarkiness, or whatever, their funniness, and being able to put these things together and send it out. And people are getting literally notoriety from it, becoming famous for their memes and making a lot of money when they start monetizing these things. So if you can do it well and make some money off of it, why not?
Yeah.
People weren't making any money off of telling somebody I'm Rick James, bitch, years ago. Now you can. So like that adds a whole nother dimension to it.
And that whole, just real quick to backtrack, that whole 03 to 08, I like to call that the fuck your couch era. Just a little tidbit there.
Well, it's just I don't know. It's just the way we took in media just like 10 years ago. It's just so different.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, total sidebar, and we don't have to talk about this, but really quickly, have y'all watched that Manti Te'o fucking?
Oh
shit?
hell yeah! Me and Heather watched that together.
Bro.
Shout out
I
to the wifey.
felt so bad for that dude. God
Dude,
damn! I was
so-
like, go ahead.
It's funny because I grew up on the same island as him, and like I brought it up at work. Like so, from the beginning, my better half, shout out Heather Godwin, she pulled that one up. I didn't even know that documentary existed, and she's like, dude, you gotta watch this. This guy got catfished. And I was like, what? So we got really into it, and I was after like watching it and watching him talk about like where he came from and like why this was able to happen to him, I understood, because I came from that same place where you live on an island, you're shut off from everything. You're not shut off, but like the outside world is the outside world. Hawaii is its own world, you know? So guys that are born and raised there, like Manti Te'o was, it makes sense to me. But when I try to tell people that didn't grow up in Hawaii that I believe him, they're like, oh, no, you're full of shit. There's no fucking way. He's just saying he got catfished because blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, you got to understand where that dude came from. He came from a place where we're pretty closed off to like everything going on in the outside world. And like the term catfishing wasn't even really a thing from where we came from. And like
the people there just believe people too.
Well, it's like you
I said earlier, I came from Hawaii. I was
and went to LA.
I went to LA as a very trusting person. And then I learned my lesson. And it kind of what happened to him.
Yep.
He grew up in Hawaii, trusting everyone and loving everybody and just living.
He was surrounded by family.
Surrounded by family and friends.
And he thought that this chick was a friend of the family by the way that that person put together their friends of who they were.
Yeah.
So he was like, oh yeah, they're friends with so and so. They're a legit person. Now, granted, somebody who's seen enough catfishing realizes that's what they do, but he had no idea.
Because now in this day and age, you could spot that from a mile away, dude.
You can see a lot of.
And we call those bots.
Yeah.
But you know, like I'm sure people get catfished all the time to this day. But I mean,
sure.
it's probably a lot harder.
I mean,
to do
you ever
than it was
watch
back
Dr.
then.
Phil? I mean, like fuck,
all the time.
That guy's,
I have a feeling that a lot of that.
it's a lot, and it's a
all
lot of like
scripted and
old
fake.
ladies and stuff. But
There's
no,
a
all these old
sucker
ladies.
born every day.
There's a sucker born every minute.
Yeah.
Here's just really quickly. Here's my. Let me just add on to what you're saying. I think what you're saying is correct. I also think that he very much wanted. It was important to him to be in control of every aspect of his life.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're that hyper focused, like something like that, maybe you don't even question, you know, because you think you're like, oh, I'm control. This is under control.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is just, and plus he's like really, really busy because he's doing all these things. So it was like perfect for him because he never really had to hang out with her, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, it was just like encouraging messages. So it's believable that like, I mean, that he would kind of not have met her, you know?
Yeah.
So I just, because of his personality. And man, like when you see him cry, you go, man, that must have been a mental fuck for him
dude,
for him to have like to think that
absolutely.
everything was in, like, it's like just someone just shatters your world with some news that you just never like the aliens are landing. It must have been so foreign out
You're
of
adopted.
or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
You're like,
What?
what?
Yeah, no, for real, right?
Yeah.
Like,
for
you
real.
know, so like it must have been just so out of left field for him.
And it was so far out of left field and everything, and it fucking ruined his entire life.
Yep.
That dude,
I think it ruined his NFL career.
No, it ruined his whole life, dude. Like he was basically outside of like, it's basically like he went back home, and of course his family believes him and trusts him, but the entire outside world outside of Hawaii fucking placed him as a lying pariah. Like he and the entire NFL did that to him too. Called him a fucking fraud.
He was a victim of that bad viral. You know what I mean? Like the one that, like, you know, there's these good stories, but nobody really thinks about all these bad stories and how it possibly wrecks these people's lives. You know what I mean?
They don't. It's wild to me.
Yeah.
Just for shits and giggles, Norman, lean forward and reach in that helmet and grab a little one of those little cards out of there and just see what the question is.
What was the most fun you ever had at a party?
Okay, so we're gonna fine tune it. Y'all guys, I'm assuming y'all have partied together, right?
Yeah.
What's the most fun you've ever had with Austin at a party, Norm?
Oh, we went to our cousin's bachelor party in Lake Tahoe.
That's a good one.
A couple years ago, and that weekend was the weekend that the Texans were in the playoffs.
Playing the Bills
Playing
in the
the Bills
wild card.
in the wild
card.
Holy
Dang.
shit.
And all the
Dude.
guys that went with us to the thing, our cousin's from Houston. Works in the hospitals in Houston, and A lot of his friends, all his buddies were from Houston, so there were a bunch of those guys were Texans fans. So we went after we'd hit the slopes all day. We went to the bar at the bottom of the slopes and hung out there and basically took over a whole section of a bar there, and it was packed in there too. It was crazy, and we just had a hell of a time drinking and watching.
I'll tell you something right now, that everybody outside of our group that we were with, Bills fan or not, became a Bills fan because we were we pissed a lot of people off that day just by being obnoxious Houston Texans fans and rooting for our team. Everybody was rooting against the Texans that day, and we were not giving a shit.
You know what I think is kind of so interesting about that is when I see those kind of groups of people, like, I kind of don't want to get them grief because then I'm just like kind of shitting on the parade they're having that day. You know what I mean? And I don't know why, people feel the need to just, I mean, like you've had, hopefully you've had good times with your friends.
I said,
and you've been annoying to somebody else at some point in time in your life.
Man.
So man, like let it go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I said obnoxious, and we probably weren't being exactly obnoxious, but we were being annoying because we were just having a good time, and we were being loud, just like many other patrons in the bar were being loud. But because we were such a big group and we just kind of came in there and took over a whole section in there, I can understand it. I've been on the other side of that at a restaurant where you're just trying to have a good time, and that can be distracting everybody else doing their thing over there. But it is what it is. You're out in public at a bar during playoff football.
You can just not let it bother you.
And here's the other thing. Instead of just not letting it bother you, I think the people outside of our group, they're just a little bit jealous.
Yeah,
that we were together as a group, even though me and my brother didn't know any of these guys except for our cousin.
Yeah.
And we all had we were all having a good fucking time together. And our team won that game, and we were losing our minds the entire, because it was a good fucking game, dude.
Yeah.
Roll the tape back on that game. It was wild, bro. It was before D-Dub4 was a fucking weirdo. But like he was slinging bombs, and Josh Allen was his first year.
I think so.
It was his first year, and he was fucking red hot. Like, it was one of the best playoff games I'd ever watched, and the Texans fucking won that thing with a field goal from deep, and we erupted, dude. And when I turned around, the whole fucking place was empty. They let us finish out, which shout out whatever that bar and grill was over there at the end of what was
Tahoe.
out in Tahoe, man. That was that was a great day.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was a really good day.
Well, and let me just take a wild guess and say it's not where y'all were at, it was who y'all were with and what y'all were doing.
Yeah, dude, we had just finished bombing the back bowl of Iron Horse, which is one of the most beautiful views you'll ever get in snowboarding or skiing. I can't even explain it. It was basically like you were in the clouds, you were in heaven, and then you were bombing, and then we bombed our way down a hill to go watch a fucking Texans game as a group. And it was just one of those things when I think about it, and because honestly, that's a good fucking answer, because I wouldn't. Like, I remember it when I think about it, and like I'll think about it when I run by a picture of it, like, oh fuck, man, that was a great trip. But then when you brought it up the way you did, I was like, holy shit, you're right. That was one really good party.
That was fun. That whole weekend, I mean, of course, it's, the Bachelor weekend and stuff, and got together. And
dude, we were playing just like drinking games I hadn't seen before. We watched dudes do armless wrestling. That was hilarious.
Yeah,
remember they put their hands in their pants and they're like trying to do the, oh man, I never laughed so hard in my life. It was so funny. And we were in a sick ass cabin up in
armless wrestling,
dude.
Put your hands in your pants
and your pants, like in your pants, and then you have to try and you're basically
like kick their feet out from underneath them.
Yeah, and just trying to wrestle them down. Dude, it was funny. I was watching these
white people, right?
It was white people shit, but it was fucking great.
That's always white people.
I was thoroughly entertained.
Yeah,
I think I drank like 20 beers that night and did not get drunk because it was just like we were having so much fun. It's like I can't let my brain fail me now because there's too much cool shit going on. It
was rad.
I think it would be a fair question, or it would be a fair statement to say that Norm, you've probably disappointed Austin, and Austin, you've probably disappointed Norm at one moment in time. It could have been when you gave away his Michael Jordan card, or it could have been another time. But
shouldn't laugh about that.
Talk about like really quick, like how y'all have gotten past that stuff. Like, I mean, because that takes both of y'all to, when an event like that happens, that takes both of y'all to kind of like, agree to disagree or whatever else it is. So, like, could you speak to a little bit to how y'all kind of handle that?
Well, I mean, I haven't had a lot of instances I can think of disappointment other than my items being hawked for way less than their value. But
Okay.
I mean, with any person, the first part of dealing with that is them admitting that they had done something wrong, and once you can address that, then you can kind of work through typically whatever the situation is. Um, and especially when it's your brother, then they're there's things you want to die on a hill over, you know, and then there's things that you just kind of have to let go of, let bygones be bygones. I think our relationship, whether we might get upset about something or whatever it might be, it just kind of a lot of like what he said before about his job is like kind of just letting it go, like, all right, that's happened. Let's move on to the next thing. And we're both people like that can move on to the next thing, very typically pretty easily, as long as the other person has recognized what the issue is, that they made a mistake or whatever, or you can address if you both made a mistake about something and dealing with that, then you do that and you go forward.
Excuse me.
Or
Sorry.
depending on the relationship, if it's not salvageable, then you move on from that person if you can't move on from the issue. But obviously, as a brother, we're not doing that. So it's just,
do you feel like that y'all are pretty straight up with each other all the time?
Yeah. I have no reason.
Is that the way it's always been, or did y'all have to grow into that?
Pretty much. This dude can smell bullshit from like a mile away, so there's like no point in me lying to my brother about anything. Like, he was actually the first person I told when me and Heather found out she was pregnant the first time, and I was scared as shit to tell him because I was afraid of what he was gonna say to me, and I had to suck it up, and he had to be the first person to know. Because I could have called my dad first, and because I already knew his answer, he was gonna be stoked. He wants grandkids, the typical dad shit, But and then I knew what my mom's answer was gonna be. She's angry as fuck. Norman was very calm and collected when I called him and told him like the most terrifying news of my life. And he was surprisingly, I was waiting for him to go, "You fucking idiot. Like, are you fucking kidding?" Like, just go off, but he didn't. He's like, "Okay." It's like, I explained myself. I felt like I had to explain myself, like, off the bat. And I was like, "Look, man, Heather's pregnant. I'm going to be a dad. Like, this, that. Like, I'm going to, this is what it is." And then he was just like, "Sounds like you've thought this out. Sounds like you're ready for this. And I back you 100%. And that's all I needed. I don't need,
You don't need somebody to be your dad.
Yeah, I didn't need him to sugarcoat things because he doesn't do that. He doesn't do that anyways. Any advice I've ever asked for, tell me I'm fucking stupid or not. But because I appreciate that kind of stuff. I appreciate straightforward people because I've dealt with a lot of crooked motherfuckers in my life. But
I think y'all both told me kind of the same way, like kind of not knowing what I was going to say about it. And I think I both told both of y'all when y'all both said y'all were both having kids was, are you excited about it? Are you stoked about it? Do you want to do this? Then cool. Yeah. Like that's it. Like that's all that matters. Like it doesn't really matter what anybody else says at this point. There's a child coming in the world. Y'all decided you're gonna have this baby, so
ain't my baby.
I ain't gotta take care of it. Are you happy about doing this? Okay, because I'm not friends with people who ditch their kids. So that is what it is.
So as we're like kind of wrapping this up, Norman, if you're ready, I would just like you to say something that you appreciate about Austin.
I have come to appreciate his dedication to his children. It's something that I've watched him do.
Did it worry you that maybe it wouldn't be there? Or did you know?
No, I wasn't worried about it because he has stepchildren and he was already taking on that responsibility very well, and integrated them into his life and him into their lives very well, and that didn't give me any cause. I was more scared about him integrating into that family already, more than him having his own kids.
I think that's much harder.
For sure.
It
I'm a
was
stepchild.
fucking hard, man.
I'm a stepchild. I know how difficult that can be for the stepkid and for the, and I'm sure it's difficult for my stepdad. That can be difficult. So having experienced that, I worried about that for him. That being said, he's done great with that. When he said he was gonna have a kid, like I said, I was like stoked for you. If you're happy about it, then I'm happy for it. So seeing him with his children though, is his dedication to them and how good of a dad he is. That's I'm not a parent, and to see him be the way he is with his kids is a great thing. He's so proud of everything that he has with his kids, and all the little things they do, and all the time he gets to spend with them. He spends all his time with his kids when he's not working. So that's been a great thing to watch. Yeah,
It's gonna make me cry, man.
Do it.
It makes for good.
I don't know why, but I'm a big fan when Howard Stern people start crying on his show and he just kind of pauses and lets it happen. You know what I mean? But then what he always does afterwards is he tries to cheer him up. He starts kind of making jokes and stuff.
Yeah.
And so he lets them ride the emotion
Cry,
I think people sometimes want to hear that. They want to hear that emotion, and then he follows it up and makes it
He's like,
sure.
cry.
Yeah.
All right, here's a dick joke. And then,
So Austin, what do you appreciate about Norm?
well, I know I've said this before, but I've always appreciated the honesty, the no filter that my brother has shown towards me, which is something I didn't realize I needed until I realized that everybody was full of shit. And the only person at a good long portion of my life was full of shit. Not everybody, but I dealt with a lot of fake people, and my brother was never a fake person. Never been fake. Never sugarcoated any advice I've ever called him for or asked about. He's told me straight up, or if he didn't know, he looked into it, helped me out tremendously, and he's always fucking boosted my confidence one way or another, as a big brother should, and he did a goddamn good job of it.
Do you take that when you think about your kids and being a good dad? Is there qualities of that you kind of hone into that?
Dude, I try really hard to. Actually, I don't have to try really hard. When I think about my stepson, our oldest, Gavin, he is literally he I don't even have to teach him. He's just a good big brother, and nobody taught Norman how to be a big brother. He taught himself, and he did a good fucking job of it. I just hope that all my kids are like that towards each other, especially our two youngest, because the two youngest have a great big brother, big sister. They love their little brothers very much. So it's almost something that I don't have to teach.
But it starts with y'all.
It starts with us though, and I think
his in-laws are involved a lot. Her brother is together a lot, so they see family being together. They see brothers and sisters getting along together quite regularly, so that's a good thing for them to see. And
even though our two oldest have beef every day over everything, but they still love each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I haven't had to really push any of it because they're just the two oldest are automatically just good at it. They picked it up really quick, and they're very helpful. They're very loving towards their brothers, and I can only hope that the two youngest ones. Thatcher likes to beat up on his baby brother already, but now baby brother is 1 year old as of yesterday. Happy birthday, Bodie! He's fighting back already, which is awesome, and it just shows me that these guys are just gonna toughen each other up for life, and they're gonna love each other, and as long as I keep them in a loving environment and stuff, hopefully they just turn out like me and Norman are.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I was to say, you're setting a great example.
Yeah.
In that way.
And I want them to see how me and Norman are for the rest of their lives. You know what I mean? Me and Norman will fucking always be like me and Norman. We're always gonna be this way. Nothing's gonna change. Yeah, man, I appreciate that. Appreciate it all. Yeah, absolutely.
How I usually wrap the thing up is I usually get my guests
Do you need Norman to cry? I'm just kidding. Just kidding. He's not gonna cry.
No, I will not.
I refuse.
I'm soulless. Okay?
That is so
coldest.
untrue. He is so not soulless. This is so bullshit.
He's the coldest motherfucker in the game, y'all.
That guy's got a giant ass heart. It just fucking, it's busy.
He's got a big ass head too.
I hear all these great things about myself, and it's like,
So how I usually wrap this thing up, I usually ask my guests, like, what, how do you put moderation into your life? But since I have y'all guys in here and we're kind of doing a little special thing, what I'd like you to do is just kind of just talk about what Austin taught you about, helping balance your, like, what are the positives he's taught you and vice versa. And either one of y'all go first.
Austin's very patient. I'm not a patient person.
Dude, yeah.
And that's a thing about, like, with his kids, like seeing how patient he is and how much time he dedicates into letting them figure things out and stuff. That's probably one of the main reasons why I've chosen not to have kids, is just because I know I don't have the patience for it. And that's okay. Some people just don't have that. But his patience level is something that I admire and aspire to have more of. And that's just in all aspects of life. You can take patience and use it in a lot of different ways. And so, yeah, I look up to his ability to have really good patience.
Yeah, I got a black belt in that shit.
Yeah.
When you have 4 kids, and I like to call that playing life on hard mode.
I mean, I feel like it's like,
you have to.
what's above all Madden? Like, I feel, is there something above all Madden? Like, just playing in a
Hall
pro,
of Fame.
playing in a pro.
You know what? I'm
Hall
gonna
of
start
Fame
saying
mode.
that.
Is there a Hall of Fame?
Hall of Fame mode.
Oh man, it's so Hall of Fame.
I'm trying to play life on Hall of Fame mode.
I'm playing on rookie, dog.
Yeah.
Dude.
Like, I'm taking it.
Let me try
Step
to play
your
the easy
game.
Hey,
route.
whenever I play Guitar Hero, I don't bump up the level. I'm trying to, like, rock out. Like, if I
Bro.
make it too hard, I can't have fun.
I used to-
Hey, do you
figure out-
get a Super Bowl at the end of each one of those if you win?
Do I will do a what?
Do you get to win a Super? Like, say if you try franchise mode
Yeah,
and you choose which level of franchise mode.
right.
At the end of each franchise mode season, you win a Super Bowl, right?
I mean, I used to.
So, whatever mode you get it on, you're gonna get, it's the same reward
This is what I do.
in that game.
This is what
but
I
I
do.
get in life.
I
Yes.
start on I start on All Pro, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And when I rebuild the Texans,
It went.
win. Last year it was still easy. This year it's gonna be tough, kids.
Trades.
But once I win a Super Bowl, I bump it up a level.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I play that until I win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And then at some point you start having to tweak other shit because it get like, some of those things get too, it's like just too computery. It gets too bullshitty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want it to be fun on some level. I can't have like some DB comes all the way across the field and intercepts something just because it's like all Madden and shit. It's fucking bullshit, bro. What are you talking about? So let's see. Austin, what has Norm taught you about just balance, or like what is he? Best advice, whatever,
Integrating new things into your life, especially when it's to better your health and your mental state and stuff. Like, I've been watching Norman. This dude's been taking care of himself and his health forever, and I wasn't really doing it as much until I got older. And now, like I've been watching him, like he's very specific about what he puts into his body and about how he treats his mind and like his meditation state, and like and then on top of that, it also has to do with the bullshit he'll deal with and the bullshit he won't. And I have over the years picked up every little thing. I watch him, and if there's something he does that I can integrate in myself, I'll do it. I live in a house that is too loud to meditate in, but I find other ways to do that. but when it comes to taking care of your mind and yourself, so that obviously I can be around forever for as long as I possibly can for my kids. I've been learning that from him.
Be the weird guy in the park and go do your meditation.
Just fucking
Yes.
like in a tree or something.
Bro,
do it.
I'm the weird guy at the gym. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, I used to make fun of that cat. I was like, look at that dude over there doing that weird stretching shit. Who does it? Man, we're gonna lift weights, dog. Like,
I
what are
did
we-
it. I mean, I've meditated in the middle of Tulum at the ruins, just where people with tourists all around and stuff. Just because, like, if you want to find a place, where it's peaceful or whatever you need for your meditation.
Well, I kind of do this thing like with my daughter where at moments, I just like if she'll come give me a hug or something like that, like I'll try to like clear out everything and just go, okay, what does this hug feel like?
Yeah.
Like, what does this feel like? Hold on to this, right? Because this won't last forever. This is not gonna be forever. So and you're gonna forget it anyway. Like half the stuff I've tried to remember, I've already forgotten. Like what it felt like. You look back at pictures, you're like, holy shit! Like what, like how did we get here? You know what I mean? And she's doing so much stuff now, you know? And that's me trying to pay attention. Yeah. Imagine if I wasn't. Imagine if I was just like zooming through life, not paying attention. You know?
See, that's what I was doing. I was zooming through life. After, I moved to LA and I was just zooming through. I thought I was doing the right things and I was not taking care of myself. I was not, dude. I was young, so like not a lot of things affected me, but as I got older, it was. And then there was a long point in my life where I did not give a shit what was happening to myself. And like as long as I was living, it was fine. But now I watch how seriously he takes his health and stuff, and it's been teaching me how to like really take myself seriously, because as I watch my big brother take himself seriously in every aspect of his life, I start doing the same. And of course, like off the bat, it never took me any time to be serious about being a dad. Like I was serious from the get. But like as the time has gone by, I've watched Norman and taken advice and watched him do things to better myself as a human and in every possible way. But yeah, everybody's still flawed. I know I'm flawed. I fucking talk too much and I'm bouncing off the walls at all times and I have a brutal caffeine addiction, but like but like everything else, right, fucking tip top, mate. And yeah, appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Hey, Norman, do you remember this dark time that Austin's talking about?
Well, I mean, I know some periods where things weren't the best in his life. You know, I would venture to guess that's probably some of it. I'm sure there's other things that.
What as his big brother, what was that like for you to watch him have like kind of these hardships that you didn't have any control over?
I mean, you always want to help your brother or sister out when they're going through something, but some things like relationships and stuff, like there's not much you can do. You can kind of give some advice, but really advice can go in one ear and out the other. You know, he takes some of the things I say, you know, to heart and will do it, but there's been plenty of times where, you know, he's chosen his own path to do something and, you know, the heart wants what it wants or who it wants or whatever it might be. And, you know, I'm not the type of person to get in the way of somebody wanting. If you choose this, what you want to do, you're going to do that. So go for it.
I would assume you were still supportive though, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've always been supportive, even in the relationships and stuff that I wasn't thrilled with. You know, like I'm not going to get in the way or try to come be some obstacle or make more issues for this kid in his life. Like that's
well,
not
because when things if things go wrong,
yeah,
he's gonna need you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so you gotta maintain that relationship. It's important. It's about him. It's not about you, right?
Yeah, that's more important, to be able to be there for him than to be right or be the problem solver in the situation.
And that's exactly what I hope all of my kids do for each other, is just to be there, regardless of their life choices and stuff, is just to be there, be supportive. And if they do have to kick somebody in the ass, then fucking do it and don't have a filter. Yeah. You know.
Well, I mean, I think it sounds from the way y'all described it. I mean, they got a pretty good they got two models that do a little bit of each of that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Did y'all kids have fun?
Yeah, we had a great time.
Hell of a good time.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Okay.
Usual.
So push those microphones out, because I'm gonna make you give me a hug.
All right.
Group hug?
Bring it in, boys. There you go. A lot of dudes sweating here right now.